Okay, you know when you're excited about a game and you're trying to just curb your hype levels, but every time you see it, you just can't seem to? That's where I'm currently at with War Dogs, the upcoming all-out warfare King of the Hill experience, releasing into early access later this year. There's still a ton of questions to be answered about whether or not this game is going to be what we've been looking for in the multiplayer space, and they just dropped an 8-minute devlog discussing their Unreal Engine 5 custom tech, their core tactical pillars of gameplay, and a whole lot more, and I have a lot of thoughts on everything. So leave a like on the video and subscribe for everything War Dogs, because it seems like these guys are building something special. And if you want to support this channel on Patreon, I'll have more info at the end of the video. War Dogs, if you don't know what this game is, there's a playlist on the front page of this channel. A quick summary: 3 teams, King of the Hill, everything you do earns you cash, in-game currency, that you can then use to buy better loadouts, and eventually you can spend that money on end-of-season cosmetics. It looks awesome, their communication is great, and as we now know, they're doing community playtesting and taking that feedback seriously when it comes to making active development decisions. And that brings us to today with this devlog where they're communicating their core pillars of gameplay, which are believable foundations, depth and decision-making, and what the player-driven experience actually is. Starting with believable foundations, it goes into how they're using real-world references for everything in the game, from weapons to ballistics to actually building out their own custom framework called War Dynamics that lays over top of Unreal Engine. This framework allows them to simulate those weapon ballistics and flight models accurately, and then we get a bunch of shots of them shooting through different materials. And look, it's impressive, and I'm sure it's fucking awesome to see it work in real time, but I must just be numb to the spectacle, because the amount of times that I have seen a character shoot a gun and the line trace just goes and changes color through material, it happens in every FPS. I've kind of just become numb to it. Does the game feel good to play? Do my guns shoot where I want them to? Great. That's really all I care about. Oh, my bullet ricocheted and it hit a piece of metal and it flew across. I don't care. I really don't. Like, cool. It's great. Let's talk about the important shit like anti-cheat, which we don't get in this video. What we do find out, however, is that they hired an aerospace engineer to make sure their flight models are realistic and accurate for the helicopters. And then they went in and did tweaking to that experience to make sure it's accessible for players. That is actually really fucking cool. And then they dropped the coldest line I've heard come out of an FPS dev studio's mouth in fucking years.
And that's important to understand. We're in no way using realism in the pursuit of becoming the world's most realistic shooter. Instead, we're using it as the foundation to lay a believable depth to the game and make every loadout decision have a lasting consequence for your account balance.
Thank you. It's about time somebody realized that realism, for the sake of realism at the cost of gameplay, is fucking trash for about 95% of players. This is music to my ears. Speaking of music to your ears, they talk about audio and they speak about how they're mixing the soundscapes to put tactics above all else. So you're able to hear enemy footsteps that are different and mixed a bit louder than your teammates, and that lets you play and be effective. You can hear volume distinctions between lower caliber rounds whizzing by you and, say, a 50 caliber round hitting close, as well as the general ambient sounds. They're all based in realism, but with gameplay cues turned up so that you can get the information you need. Now look, that sounds great, but does it sound great? We've had a lot of studios in the past talk about how audio is a main priority and about how they're changing it and fixing it, and they're doing a lot of the things that these guys say they're doing, and then when the game comes out, you can't hear a fucking thing. Are we gonna get another Battlefield 6 experience where you can't hear tanks 10 feet away from you? Like, this all sounds great on paper, but until we can get our hands on it and actually hear these soundscapes at work, hear the mixing, and judge it for ourselves. I'm excited to try this game because it looks fucking awesome. Everything they're saying is ringing true to a game that I want to play. We just got to see it in action. And then they dropped the, second coldest line that an FPS developer has dropped in their life. Roll it.
And you won't need a PhD in ballistics or an ammo chart on your second monitor either. The in-game vendor will only show you the ammo types that can be packed into magazines that are compatible with your weapon.
Yeah! Holy shit, streamlined accessibility options in a tactical FPS? What is this, Never 1015? What the fuck? And all of this is leading the charge into how the game is handling depth and decision making, and the fact that there's no set loadouts, there's no set roles. You choose how you want to play the game. That includes the loadout that you take into the battlefield. Sometimes if you have a heavier loadout, you run a little bit slower than somebody with a lighter loadout who might just have a little bit of ammo. If you're coming in with a heavy backpack, that changes the way that you move around the battlefield. And as we know, based on past devlogs, those roles that you choose are then going to be more in depth because they are developing a skills tree system that allows you to put talents into certain abilities that might increase the way that you heal. You might be able to heal faster, or you might be able to pilot a helicopter just a little bit better than somebody who doesn't have those abilities and skill points. There is an in-depth system here where every decision you make, from the loadout to the way that you play, is going to earn you money for the game in different ways, which I think is so fucking cool. They talk about risk and reward, and there's this element of like betting on yourself almost, where you can choose to spend $3,000 of in-game currency on an RPG, which might be tough. It's a 100-player game. You might get killed and you might lose it. But if you were able to take out a helicopter with that RPG, it might earn you 10 to 12 grand. So there's a cost-benefit factor that comes into everything that you buy at your main base before you even get into the area of operation. And so you have to think about everything that you're doing, which I think is cool, because if somebody just wants to be a helicopter pilot and transport people to and fro, you can earn money. You can earn tips on the people coming in and dropping in on your helicopter, and you can actually earn money that way. And you might not be the best fragger, you might not be the best shooter, and there's a ton of different roles for you to fill where you can still progress through the game. And I think that is actually revolutionary when it comes to the FPS space. And like they said, when everything comes together and all of these players are filling these different roles, that's what drives the player-driven all-out warfare experience. And that's what drives this very, like, they call it a sandbox, but it's very controlled, while at the same time you have the freedom to be as open with the way that you want to play as possible. I can't stress how excited I am to see how these games are going to play out when the public gets their hands on it. Because with so many different styles and so many different players jumping in and playing in different ways, it's not always about just getting on the point and winning the game. If you can get in and get some money and get out, you are net ahead for the season, which I think is really cool. Now, will that lead to very healthy games? I don't know. That's the thing. Like, the way they designed it is it's 100 players, even though it's 3 teams of 33. They say that players are going to be hopping in and out of games all the time. You're not locked in, and if you leave the game halfway through, your progress doesn't count for the round like in games like Battlefield. This is a game where if you run in, you get some kills and you end up dying, they put you back at base and you want to leave, you can leave with that money that you have made based on those kills if you're net ahead. They also have this mechanic where there's towers around the map that if you get into, you clean it out, you control the tower, it gives you a digit for a 4-digit code. And if you own multiple towers, you can guess the digit code, and you can call the hot zone, that inner circle that's moving around the map, where if you're inside of it, you count as double players and you're earning more points, you're earning more cash. You can actually call that to the tower that you're in if you end up clearing it out and get the right code. And then you can build on that tower and set up like a super fob that players then have to breach in. And it looks like there's a breaching tool that players have to grab back at base. So you might have to have players on the battlefield that have these tools on them, maybe in lieu of ammo or meds or something else. And then when all of these things are coming together, you then create this attack and defend scenario in the middle of an ongoing war in this sandbox, where half the team might be doing this attack and defend thing, where the other half are trying to get other towers or do other objectives. It sounds fucking crazy. It sounds incredibly ambitious. And honestly, I'm trying not to get my hopes up. I'm trying to just be grounded and level-headed about it. I really hope Bulkhead pulls this off, and I hope this game blows up. There's a ton of interest. There's a shit ton of wish lists. I think last devlog, they said they were at 300,000 wish lists. That's probably only exponentially gone up from then. There's a lot of hype around this game. There's a lot of interest. And I gotta say, from everything I'm seeing, like, there's not a lot of things I'm not liking about it. Obviously, I have to play it. I have to experience all of this for myself. But, like, damn. It's sounding pretty dope. As always, I want to know what you guys think down below. Are you looking forward to War Dogs? Are there anything popping out in these devlogs that are red flags to you? Are there questions that you still need answered before you get on board? I know the developers are watching this. If you guys want to catch our Push to Talk podcast that we did a few months back, Joe Brammer, the CEO, and Brian McCran, their community manager, jumped on the podcast and we asked them a bunch of questions from the community, and we had a really good chat about the current state of game development and War Dogs itself and how they got to where they were, jumping through the hoops that is game development at that level. It was fucking insane. I urge you guys to really check out that episode. And if you guys aren't listening to the Push to Talk podcast, that is my bi-weekly podcast with Crash. He's another FPS YouTuber on this platform. You guys can listen to it on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, wherever you listen to podcasts, the Push to Talk podcast. I'd love if you guys could give us a 5-star review. That'd be awesome. And if you guys want to support the Patreon, which is powering that podcast, click the Patreon link down below. Go over there, support on a monthly basis. You get sponsor-free videos over there. When I do a sponsor, I upload a separate version over there where you guys don't have to listen to the commercials. You guys get 48-hour early access to every single podcast episode, and you're helping create the future in other forms of content over there that is outside of this YouTube channel. I appreciate you guys watching, and I appreciate all of my Patreon subscribers for watching and supporting in the early stages of this creation. We've been doing it for about 7 months now. We've got a podcast up. We've got exclusive content over there. As always, my name is Big Fry. Shout out to the Fry Nation, and I'll see you on the next one.